Hi.
Howdy,
Hello.
folks. How are you today? So we've been going over a few things, trying to pin down a topic, and we can't seem to find one specific topic that we want to talk about. So Olivia, I asked her what she wanted to talk about, and she immediately went to the Constitution. She wants to talk about the Constitution. First she said the Fifth Amendment, and I said, okay, what's the Fifth Amendment about?
The Fifth Amendment is, I forgot. I've been thinking
See?
about the Second Amendment.
So then she didn't have much luck with the Fifth Amendment, and because this is all spur of the moment, right off. We're not didn't plan really much of anything, and so she kind of diverted from that, and she says, first we were talking about housing of soldiers. I had read the Fifth Amendment to her, and there was a little bit in there about housing, and then she said, well, that's a whole nother amendment, and I said, you're right, it is. They can't force you to house soldiers, which is the Third Amendment. And then she's sitting there next to the gears going, and she was thinking. She's like, what's the Second Amendment? And I'm like, I was appalled. It's like, how do you not know what the Second Amendment is? That's like at the forefront of everybody's mind. That's everybody is thinking
It's
about
the
either
right
the first,
to bear arms.
right, the right to bear arms. And so I guess we're going to do a video on a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of the other thing and maybe some stuff in between, who knows.
Yeah.
But anyhow, the Second Amendment, that's a good one. I like the Second Amendment. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed, period. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Of course, everybody knows our right to bear arms has been infringed upon time and time again.
Because of the gun laws.
Right, yeah. The gun laws are being used to infringe upon our rights, right?
Literally.
Yep.
I think we already made a video on this. It's starting to sound familiar.
We might have talked a little bit about it before.
Yeah.
Yep. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. And what the heck did we talk about after that?
The Sixth Amendment? Huh?
What was 6?
The Sixth Amendment is, I know Nate said something about, no victim, no crime. I remembered. Well, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
The Sixth Amendment is no victim, no crime. It's the right to face your accuser. You shouldn't say just no victim, no crime. It encompasses a lot more than that. It takes in a lot more than just no victim, no crime. But I think that is a key point in the no victim, no crime. If you look at all the laws that people are convicted and made into criminals because of, in the vast majority of the laws, there's no victim. In the Sixth Amendment states that if there is no victim, there is no crime. Well, it doesn't say no victim, no crime. It says you have a right to face your accuser in a court of law, which means there has to be a victim in order for there to be an accuser, right?
Yeah.
And there's been arguments made. People tried to argue that the government or the state could be the victim. The government or the state, in legal terms, are legal fiction. They're not living, breathing entities like people. Governments can't be victims. Only people or citizens can be victims.
Yeah.
So if the only person convicting you of a crime is, say, the state or the government, that is not a victim. They cannot be the victim. So it's not a legitimate crime. It's not a legitimate law. It's just them keeping themselves in a job and convicting the citizens as a way of keeping their jobs.
And it's kind of like speeding tickets. Or
speeding
parking
tickets.
violations.
Right, they're victimless crimes. If there is no victim, there is no crime. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you look at like you said, speeding tickets, there's no victim. If I fly up the interstate at 120 miles an hour, who's the victim? There is no victim.
Have you ever heard the thing where people say almost doesn't count? Now,
Right.
A lot of the times if you try to argue to a cop when they pull you over for a speeding ticket, when you say, but there's no victim, they'll say, but there could have been.
Right.
could have doesn't count either. It's
Right.
like the same. You're just rewording almost.
A meteor could fall out of the sky, but it's
No.
Didn't.
Does that mean we need to put a huge wall around the whole world?
a dome.
A dome
Yeah.
to keep the meteors out?
And it's got to be like this is Earth, and then you put another, so it goes underground and all the way around too, so that it protects the people and all the way so they can't tunnel.
You might as well just turn the whole world upside down and walk on the top.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Cray, cray.
Cray, cray.
So let's got to talk about. You got to entertain the people.
Wow.
5.
Well,
4.
hold on. Weren't we originally talking about the
3.
Second Amendment?
Yeah, we talked about it. Now what? Stop looking at your sister for answers. Think.
The right to bear arms. I think we already... Oh, there's a DoorDash guy.
We did cover that.
Oh, we did? Something that comes to mind is that they found out what Kobe Bryant died.
His cause of death.
Uh-huh.
Impact.
Yeah, he fell out of the sky 2,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. 2,000
Yeah,
miles.
force.
Yeah. He just died. But my question is, how did the plane crash? Did it?
hit something.
Foggy.
Interesting. And then it fell down.
It's not a crash until it hits the ground, and then it's a crash.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what crashes are. It's like
It
a
bumped
car
into
sliding out of
something.
control. It's not a crash until it hits a tree. Now it's a crash. Otherwise, it's just sliding out of control. It's like the helicopter was falling out of control, and then after it hit the ground, now it's a crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we already made a video on this, but with the Second Amendment, when they try to illegalize your no gun or your gun right, it makes criminals.
Yeah, absolutely. The more gun laws they put in place, the more criminals they're putting in place as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I think we already did a video on that.
Yeah, we talked about that before, how laws create criminals, right?
Yep, laws
Yeah.
create crime.
Laws create crime and criminals, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's millions of people that own AR-15s.
Yeah.
And then they make a law saying it's against the law to own an AR-15. Now, everybody that already owns an AR-15 is now a criminal.
Exactly.
So it just
Yeah.
created a whole bunch of criminals,
Yep.
and they didn't do anything. That's where they need to get back to the no victim, no crime. If there's not a victim, and your feelings
There shouldn't be.
aren't, you can't take people's feelings into consideration. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's illegal. Right.
Exactly.
If you don't like AR-15s, great. Don't get an
buy 'em.
AR-15.
Yeah.
Get an AK-47. Get a bazooka. Get whatever the fuck you want,
Yeah. And another thing, soft topic. But people.
I thought you said soft tacos.
Soft tacos.
We're at Taco Bell. We had tacos and burritos.
The off taco.
It's not off topic. There isn't a topic. Remember we discussed that in the
that's
beginning.
true. Okay. Well, I just forgot what I was gonna say.
Ah!
Oh yeah, I remembered. A lot of people these days go on their opinion, and if they don't like your way of thinking, or maybe like Daddy mentioned, maybe one person doesn't like what another person is doing, and they get all mad and say, oh, they should be arrested and all this blah blah.
They try to
blah.
enforce their idea on somebody else.
and you talked
right.
about this to me too, and
You're talking about the guy at the park that was dropping
Yeah.
the bracelets.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a guy and I guess he's like a middle-aged guy, mid-50s or
Yeah.
something like that. And he wasn't really dressed in drag, but he was dressed differently. He was dressed, not normally, right, I guess. And I didn't see the guy. This is like secondhand. I read it in the news and stuff like that. But this happened, I guess it was years ago.
Mhm.
And this middle-aged guy was walking around the park, and he would, if he saw a youthful person or a young, like kids my age, walk by,
Yeah.
he would drop a bracelet and wait for them to pick it up, and then start conversing with them, or nothing actually did happen. So nobody knows what his plans were or what his intent was, but there was people at the park that did call the police, and the police got involved. And of course there was nothing the police could do, so the police left, and the guy was free to walk around the park and do whatever the heck he wanted, you know. And there was a lot of people that complained about that, saying that he should be arrested.
Why should he be arrested?
Yeah, he dropped a bracelet. That's not a crime.
Maybe he's
You
just
know, it's
looking
like-
for friends.
Yeah, maybe he's just looking for friends. Who
Maybe
knows?
that's
You
just
don't
his
know.
style.
Maybe
You don't
it's a
know
social
what-
experiment.
Right, maybe it was a social experiment. You know, there's a lot of those crazy ass social experiments online.
Maybe it was just
So-
for a YouTube video. We don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what his intent was, you know, and just because you feel uncomfortable with the things he's doing, if you feel uncomfortable with something that somebody is doing,
Walk away
you
from
don't
that.
ask them to leave, you leave.
Yeah.
Right? It's oh, my feelings are hurt, I gotta call the cops, you know. It's like,
And that reminds me, so many people in the school do that. Like, especially on the bus. If you're sitting in a seat, like where Nate's sitting, and he's got a problem with Dad, and he tells Dad to walk away, or get out of the seat, or move, and then they get the bus driver involved if Daddy over here doesn't move. And it's wrong. If he over here doesn't like him over here, he should move.
they want you to be a victim. They want you to embrace the victim mentality. They want you to think that you're, you know, because your feelings are hurt, because then what you do is you cry out for authority. You cry out for a teacher or an adult, and they want that. And that's exactly what government does with all their fear-mongering and stuff. They got the coronavirus, I guess, in the news. They want you to be scared. And now why would they want you to be scared? Because then you cry out for more
Control.
government help. And then you give up your freedoms, you give up your rights. I mean, look at 9/11. We lost a lot of freedoms and rights on that day because everybody was scared of what happened. It's just, it's fear-mongering. It's all it is, a lot of it.
That should
Granny's
be another
driving a
video
Charger.
topic, Dad. 9/11.
We can do one on 9/11.
That's a great idea.
Now, there's a lot to discuss on 9/11.
Oh, yeah, I got some juicy stuff on that.
Some juicy
Juicy
tidbits.
stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right, you ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
Yep.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
This could be a song.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Peace.
Love.
Nice.
Happiness.
We're such weirdos.
Bye.
Love.